All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you had a wonderful weekend. We got the last week of September. We are just coming off of Powell, and now this week we got a bunch of macroeconomic data that is really going to answer the question of how much higher for how much longer. If you don't remember what happened last week, take a look at the chart. It was pretty wild. We had Powell, the Bank of Japan, and everything else, but remember that dot plot and everybody's expectations for the end of the year and next year, this is what rattled people, not to mention what was going on with the dollar and even bonds. You got the bonds right now in the 10-year, 4.5%. The yield curve was uninverting. There was a lot of things. So everybody is asking, where are interest rates going to end up? Or pretty much, can you believe Powell and everything that was outlined last week? So we got a lot to talk about. We have a lot of different things. I even have a breakdown of what we're going to get into this week. Again, the economic calendar, everything domestically all the way to overseas. There's a lot of stuff, but it's all stuff that can move the bond. So we're going to have a nice week. It should start off pretty slow, and then you're going to have the PCE, a little bit more of that Fed inflation data. But before you know it now, that seasonality of September, we are wrapping it up here, and this week should be crazy. So, Chad, what I need from you, a thumbs up on the video. Make sure you're subscribed, and if you don't know, we are live Monday through Friday, 30 minutes before open, youtube.com/the stock market. We will see you there in the morning, and honestly, there's not crazy data. I don't know if we're going to be live for PCE, but depending on how we end September in this volatility, you might want to be there, baby. So run it.
It's the 2020 election. Live in the hills, but I still get a spread. Started with a live, but I still reinvest it. Feel how I feel, then you feel like a blessing. I just want the lesson, I just want protection. I'm up and I'm down, but they sound like progression. Farmer never plans if he waits for perfection. Finger to the down, hold it.
But right off the bat, the first lesson, actually, no, we got to start here with the random account generator. Just post a random option trade in the comments, okay? Just post one random comment picker in the morning, but I was going to start here with the calendar, and I want you to understand something that we saw happen the last 2 weeks, and what it has to do with is that we have a lot of data this week that we could focus on, but then you are going to get a lot of data in Europe. And remember, everything with the currencies, I got the bonds up right here, but if I go through all the currencies, if you remember the pound, the yen, the yuan, the euro, they are all at these levels that are kind of getting people worried over the last couple of weeks. So we got to watch out how this data overseas can move things. And even though I do think we are going to get a lot of answers as far as where rates should go or get some direction this week based off of our data, don't forget how we reacted last week, where it's like we wanted to move, but if something big happened, good or bad, overseas in Europe, it kind of kept the market on a leash a little bit. So don't forget about that. That's something I want to highlight, because if you go through the calendar, there is going to be a lot of stuff. You're going to get like Chicago Fed, Dallas Fed, Richmond Fed. Obviously on Friday, the PCE, that will be the most important. I don't know if you've gone down this far. You will get some jobs data as well. But look, this is all of the countries. There is a ton of stuff. There will be a big focus, not only on just the PCE, but the personal spending, personal income. You got people worried about inflation and the consumer, especially coming into the end of the year. This will be very important. So this is going to be the main event of this week. But like I'm saying, throughout the rest of the week, you're going to get Europe data. I think German, France, and I think like 5 other countries in the ECB. All of them are going to have inflation data, so that's going to affect it. We're going to get final GDP numbers. You're going to get Japan, Bank of Japan minutes, and then I think you got like 3 or 4 Fed speakers, initial jobless claims. Then you got durable goods orders, and then new home sales, and then pending home sales at the beginning of the week. So we got a lot of data, but like I'm saying, the main thing, watch for that dynamic overseas, and then now on top of it, how should you respond to any data? I'm telling you, nothing in equity land is going to matter this week. Can equities move a lot? Oh, yes, of course, but watch all of this data, from durable goods to real estate data, all the way to personal spending and PCE on Friday, even the GDP data, but how the bonds move. If there is data that get people to believe what Powell said, or that more hawkish end of the dot plot last week, you're going to watch the bonds continue to blow out. That was the main story. Again, on the reverse side, if it's good for the bonds, that may cool things down. And then if there's anything that happens overseas that could calm down the euro or calm down any of the other currencies that leads to the dollar calming down, those could also be good effects too. So the main theme of this week, what does the data confirm for what Powell said last week? And then we're going to have to deal with the same dynamic where, yes, we have a lot of important stuff this week, but we also have to factor in how stuff overseas is going to make us move. So it should be wild. It should be a lot of fun. But like I said, it should be a straightforward start. You also got everything from last week floating in the background like oil. You had a bunch of stuff with the chips, if you don't remember that. We heard a little bit from China, and I'm going to talk about that when we get into the plays. But all in all, we are just still in the same position of the last 3 weeks. You've been going back and forth, but now we recently heard from Powell, and now we knock out the rest of September, and before you know it, you're going to get CPI, non-farms, all the big stuff, and then the final two pals, and then it's the end of the year. But now let us get into the plays. So, right off the bat, like I said, we're going to start it off slow. I have a couple of plays, but I'm not married to any of them. So, the first one, I'm actually going to start with a play that we already have, but Alibaba, I did wind down a couple of plays. I'm still, getting killed off Netflix flip shares. I took AMD for, a $900, $1,000 loss on that. I even sold out a MO for, an $800 loss, too, but wanted to get out of those plays. Been swinging them for a decent amount of time. Remember, the chips did good on Intel, did decent on NVIDIA after going down, but AMD was going to be the loser, and really, I've just been kind of toning it down to the point where I want to ride into this end of the year. I think I am going to be focusing a lot now on how does data move the bonds. That is the theme I'm telling you here. I'm not going to really focus on equities. I think we might be entering that stage again where data comes out, causes big moves on the bonds, and then that leads into the market moves. But like I'm saying here, I'm going to be focusing more on that rather than individual companies. So Baba, I'm already in this play. I'm holding it. I've been down on this, I think, for 2 weeks now, but they're coming out with news. One, it was two things on Friday. On Friday, people were talking about capital controls being loosened in China, and that was a positive for them. But then there was also news about one of their units IPO'ing. So I think we're going to hear about that throughout this week, and they're supposed to raise at least $1 billion. But remember that whole splitting up Alibaba and doing these IPOs, that's what gave it a really bullish catalyst at the beginning of the year. So we'll see how that comes into play, but that is going to be play number one. Then play number two, I'm in Oxy for oil, and this might be a play I want to hold. Where I'm saying where some of them I want to wind down, but stuff related to bonds, commodities, kind of the old inflation trades, I'm down with holding them. And now even oil, same thing over the last couple of weeks. Is oil getting a point where it is very important? Kind of. You should be watching it. It's not the most important thing in the world. If it does break through 100 and hold, that could change the dynamic of things. If it fails from here, then everyone's going to brush it off, and then that's going to really be punting until the next till next year, 2024. So I'm going to be watching oil. There's a lot on the line here just coming into the end of the year. I think stockpiles are at lows, and there's a couple of other facts. Even the gasoline futures are starting to go up. So keep your eyes out for this. I will be watching oil plays, and then in that final respect, the only other thing I want to see is wheat. A lot of people have been asking me about this. It's at that low price, and again, I think this will relate to oil. I think if oil breaks out, then you'll see the reaction on wheat, but then also too, there might be some headlines that can keep it down. But if you could get war headlines out of the way, or if oil really does break out and continue, this is going to be the one. But maybe it might be time this week, or maybe towards the end of the week after we see how some of the data plays out. But those are going to be the only plays I'm watching. We're going to ride out anything else. If I have an opportunity to trim from the trading portfolio, I will, to set up for a lot of stuff coming into the end of the year. But now we need the data, see what it says about rates, see if the market believes it and whoever else believes it. But I think that's going to be the cake, and then we end the year. So Chad, that is your watch list, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure hydrate, healthy, ready to go. Make sure post your watch list. Make sure we see you there in the morning. I need the armor on. I need the helmet shining. And I need you to remember, just like the gym, just like anything, before you build something up, you got to tear it down a little bit. And that is part of the process. So Chad, oh yeah, I'm telling you, dig deep, baby. I hope you're ready for it. I hope you have things that you want to keep, things you don't want to keep. But Chad Adonia, there's one more week left. And then the end of the year, the fiscal years are going to start ending depending on where you're at. But Chad, I hope you're ready for it. I hope you're preparing, and I hope you're in the game and get that long term. So let's go. Let's have a great week. It's already been just so much craziness. So I don't know how September is going to end. Oh, but defensive slides. Okay, I'll see you on 2K or something. But Chad, I love you. God bless you. Drink that water. Hydrated all of it, and have a good day. Not awkward. Not awkward. I'm excited. That's it. Okay. I'm horna.